I've been studying UCLA football for months, and the thing I've learned most is Deshaun Foster is so brat. I mean, in trying to rebuild the program, he invited all to embrace the school that he loves. But does anybody know what we're getting after all that turmoil? Hi, I'm James of Faithful Angelino Sports with a preview of UCLA football for 2024. And if you enjoy talking about the Bruins, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We talk UCLA sports almost every day here. And I want to start off with just a little negativity, because it really bothers me to say this. This is going to be one of the few UCLA previews that you will see on YouTube. And there's a reason for it. It's because under Chip Kelly, the Bruins football program became unapproachable, damn near hostile to the fans, to the press, to boosters. And so people gradually stopped talking about UCLA. I could go for many days without reporting a single UCLA update on this channel. And this channel is here to talk all LA teams. I want UCLA news. You can't be a content creator without content, right? So people lose interest in the program, attendance dropped by damn near 2/3 over at the Rose Bowl. It didn't even matter that UCLA qualified for bowl games the last couple of years, or that they beat Boise State in the LA Bowl last year. You had to be reminded UCLA existed. And it should never, ever be that way. Now, to his credit, Foster, who played for UCLA, recognizes that. He knows that the program needed a brand rebuild. He has been talking up the program like a used car salesman, only without the polyester bell-bottom suit. And that is the right approach to start. But what about the on the field? What can we say about UCLA? Because there are so many unknowns right now. Do they have a pass rush? Has the offensive unit mastered enough of a more complex playbook? What about Kelly abandoning the program in February, which put the Bruins at a pronounced disadvantage in hiring a replacement, in high school recruiting, the transfer portal? For that matter, what about the players you lose in the transfer portal? I mean, perhaps Dante Moore could have thrived if there was any stability over at UCLA. So is this program stable now? We don't even know what we're going to get with Foster as a head coach. Not until Saturday in Hawaii. So here is what we do know about the offense, starting with the positive, because I admit this clip started off as a downer. Offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy believes that Ethan Garbers has this playbook down, which is great. It sounds trite, but no, it is good. Because unlike what you see online, Bieniemy is not running a spread offense. That is not true. It's more like a traditional West Coast offense, which will sometimes include a fullback because Bieniemy, a former running back as well, wants to establish the run first. Either they are going to commit to it, they're going to do whatever it takes to do it. They're returning 3 offensive linemen. Hopefully those guys gel quickly, because if you remember, Bruins quarterbacks were sacked 42 times last year. They have 2 running backs that I think are going to fare damn well in this offense, in TJ Harden and Keegan Jones. I think J. Michael Sturdivant wants to reestablish himself as a threat, like he was at Cal before he transferred. Rico Flores Jr., a transfer from Notre Dame, took a starting gig away from last year's leading receiver Logan Loya because Flores is playing with purpose. He wants to succeed at UCLA. So you look at that and it's like that's mostly good. But Kelly's playbook could be translated in a huddle with so few words that the Bruins could go up tempo. Bieniemy's book, according to UCLA players, is extremely wordy. When you watch the Bruins offense, for example, against Hawaii on Saturday, do yourself a favor, watch the play clock. If the Bruins can't break the huddle before 15 seconds, they will have difficulty adjusting to what the defense shows. Audibilizing, hot routes, stuff like that. We can talk about individual players all we want, but if they do not communicate effectively, that offense will fail to function, and that is going to be a problem. Also with the offense, the LA Times reported that, quote, screens appear to be a staple of Bieniemy's playbook, including bubble screens, slip screens, and other screens that involve the running backs. Bieniemy also heavily uses the tight ends and occasionally a fullback, unquote. Now look, I'm extremely skeptical of the passing game being reduced to mostly screens. It would be absolutely foolish for Bieniemy to expect this unit to understand the playbook in its entirety this week of the year. So what I'm thinking is he has taken so many baby steps with the offensive unit that during the course of the season, as they start mastering the rest, you'll see fewer bubble screens. Because if UCLA becomes predictable, if it just becomes about running and bubble screens, guess what the defense is going to do on the other side? They're going to pack the box. And UCLA will have a lot of difficulty moving the ball down the field. So I'm skeptical of that reporting. Meanwhile, on the defense, how do you build off of a scheme that produced the second best rushing defense in the nation last year? Even more importantly, how do you build off that scheme when the guy who installed it took off to coach for USC? The answer for new defensive coordinator Ikaita Malloy is I think there's going to be a major drop-off. I just don't have enough reason to believe that they're going to dominate like they did last year. They returned 4 starters, 2 linebackers, 2 defensive linemen. Now, the reason that you can expect a slide is because the Bruins lost 3 terrific pass rushers, including one, Leatu Letu, who was a first-round draft pick over with the Indianapolis Colts. The Bruins last year were able to do something many teams wish they could do: get to the quarterback without resorting to all-out blitzes, like USC did. And if you recall, USC, when they would do it, they would get burned every single time. The blitz doesn't always work. The blitz is a risk. If you can get to the quarterback without taking a risk, you're happy as hell. And yet what we know from training camp is, with this defense, is that they're resorting to some gimmicks to try to throw the opponent off. For example, it was reported linebacker Oluwafemi Oladejo, who was the 3rd leading tackler on the team last year, has been seen lining up on defensive line. You would think if this defensive line. You would think if this defensive line was deep, that Oladejo being on that line would not be needed. I mean, the Bruins have been hyping up how deep the defensive line is, despite losing Leatu Letu to the NFL. There is a little truth to it. There is some depth. Nose tackle Jay Toya started 12 games last year, recorded 28 tackles. Keanu Williams also returns. But when you think of how many people need to be replaced on the defense, it kind of gives you a little bit of pause. Now, I will say that the fact that the Bruins are so committed to running the ball, you could imagine them chewing up clock and taking the pressure off the defense. But these are all predicated on a lot of ifs, a lot of unknowns. Now, I'm by no means a gambler, but I've seen the over-under for UCLA wins to be as few as 4.5. I don't think it's going to be that bad. If you really want to know my thoughts on the year, I think they're going to just miss out on being bowl eligible. The Bruins have a 3-week streak that is really going to test the mettle of this team, because I think they're going to wind up losing all 3 games. And if that's the case, we've got to find out if Foster can keep them together. Those 3 games are at LSU, home against Oregon, and then all the way across the country back to play Penn State. Now, you drop all 3 of those, you have 7 games left in the year. Assuming that you won the first 2 games of the year, you have to win 5 of those last 7 games to become bowl eligible. That is a big ask, because 2 of those games come against ranked teams, and one of them is going to be against your crosstown rival in USC. Big ask. But all things being equal, with 6 wins, I think UCLA fans will do something that they wouldn't do for Chip Kelly. I think they will embrace Deshaun Foster and give him grace and give him time to actually go out with a full offseason and recruit. UCLA is not a school full of idiots. They know damn well that Kelly tried to burn the program down on the way out. They know this. And by the way, I double-checked my work by scanning multiple bowl projections. I have yet to see one that has UCLA going to a bowl game. But a bowl victory, like UCLA had last year with Kelly, means nothing if you don't have hope. 6 wins with hope is a foundation for the future. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. And if you enjoyed this preview of UCLA football, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelinos. We talk UCLA sports almost every day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelinos is a Kian Portiel Queso production. Take care.